Hi everyone, this is Josh Rivers, and we're talking how to product. And as you know, as it is how we do it on this show, we try to talk candid opinions around topics that involve products, product management, the product space in general. And today I have the pleasure of having a conversation with Olumide, who is well versed in the machine learning, data science, AI space, and also in the startup ecosystem. So today we'll be looking into the topic of incorporating AI into software products. So with no further ado, I'm just gonna hand it over to you, Olumide. Can you just introduce yourself to us? Tell us a fun fact. Anything goes.
Uh, yeah, so my name is Olumide Okubadejo, and yeah, I've been in. I started AI way in 2010s, 2009s. That's before it became sort of like mainstream. I did my master's in AI, and I proceeded to do a PhD in AI. So that made me get into the very technical AI part. As I got in, I started becoming very interested in product building. And at the same time, I'm doing a master's at HEC around entrepreneurship. So that sort of just, is like two worlds that I enjoy just going together. Um, yeah, I've
Wow.
worked with various startups, work with a lot of companies now, try to help people refine their product offering, also their AI offering in this world where, there are not a lot of professionals that can tell you how to build with AI or what to build or, you know, how to build a roadmap with AI
Mm.
involved in that. And so I help companies right now do that. Fun fact. Oh, wow.
Yep.
Um, I play five musical instruments.
Five.
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Oh, come on. I need to up my game. I only play the keyboard and a bit of the acoustic guitar.
I
Now that's a shade, but no hard feelings.
The fun fact.
Uh,
Oh, maybe fun fact, I cannot dance. You look like someone who can dance, though.
I mean, I don't know if my feet will cooperate, but yeah, I think I would like to dance. But I do know how to dance when sitting down, if you see what I mean.
All of us. Oh, yeah.
Wow, that's so amazing to hear your journey and what you're currently doing. I mean, I can't even begin to fathom how you're able to manage doing a master's, doing a PhD, and being a seasoned AI person, and you're looking into entrepreneurship as well. It's like you have a lot going on, and that even further humbles me that you're here on the show to share your experience and to share your candid opinion, which is invaluable, I must admit. So yeah, thank you very much for
Pleasure.
coming on the show once again.
Um,
Um, yeah, so talking about machine learning, and so that I don't have to keep you here longer than I should. Talking about machine learning, I saw your most recent post. I promise I'm not stalking you, but your most recent post, you ended it with I think a line that says machine learning is the essence of products. It is not just a component of product as people have always deemed it to be. Do you mind expounding on that?
Oh, yeah, true. So in fact, the earlier post was machine learning is the product, right? But I
I,
need to,
I
I
missed
need,
that.
no, no, I changed it because I posted late at night. I was like, oh my God, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to come for me. I was like, I'm not ready to have that conversation tonight. That's why I was like, okay, let me not annoy people and just make it like the very essence of the product. And so what I mean is, a lot of times we think about what we want to build, and then we
Yeah.
say, how can we build machine learning into it? That's how we've been building, or that's how some people are still building, especially in the African ecosystem. You see, maybe fintech is like, oh, I want to build a payment provider. And then they go, okay, how can I use machine learning? Oh, you can use machine learning for credit, analysis. You can use machine learning for something. That's how we're
Yeah.
building. We think about the product and then we separate the product from, machine learning. But what
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to say is that products right now that push that break barriers, that break boundaries, that scale. I think in the first part of the post, I talked about not building product wildernesses. So,
Yep.
uh, not just building a product for the sake of building a product, but building a product that can, evolve in a way that the data it generates is fed back into the product to improve the product. And then you have this cycle of evolution that
Mm,
really does not even need a lot of, intervention from people, and the product
absolutely.
continues to improve on itself. So, I think I gave this very crude example a couple of weeks ago, but maybe unrealistic example, but then I would explain what I mean. So let's take a startup, right? A startup that says, I want to create a bottle opener, for all of my Coke bottles and all the Pepsi and all of that. And it's like,
Yep.
that's what I want to build. I was like, okay, let's, a typical product would say, oh, let's just build it. And then it's like, oh, how can we use machine learning to
Mm,
make it better? But what I'm saying is, at the very inception of the product, you think about machine learning as the product. For instance, if I were to build that product, I would say, okay, I have a bottle opener. Can I find a way to fit the smallest camera or something? I'm going to bypass a lot of the ethical considerations here. Can I find a way to put a camera that activates every time you open a bottle and takes a
mm,
picture of that bottle, right? And let's say you do that for your first year in your first year as a business, as a product. What you understand is that after 1 year, you have pictures of almost every bottle
mm, yep.
on the planet. So right
Mm,
now, your business is not just as a bottle opener. You can now provide an API to everyone around the world and say, you can take a picture of a bottle and I can tell you what product that bottle is.
mm, mm,
Now, in a sense, maybe it's a crude example, and then there are many things I'm not thinking through there, but it's a way of thinking about the product from the beginning. By year two of your product, your product has evolved through machine learning, and a core part of your business offering is no longer just opening bottles, but you have data that can give you a second business, and that can lead to a third business, that can lead to a fourth business. Whether you're doing a horizontal or vertical scaling, what you see from there is that you're building an ecosystem. So in a sense, that's what I was trying to allude to in my post, where I said, don't just think about how you can add machine learning. Machine learning is the actual product.
mm.
Uh, Go ahead and build machine learning.
Products.
Exactly.
Wow, wow, wow. See, what you just said resonates with me strongly because if you look at all of these startups, our Fortune 500 companies like Facebook and the likes, I think data was an afterthought. This is my opinion. Data was an afterthought. The initial product offering hovers around connecting people that are long distances and need to keep in touch. You provide them with a platform where they're able to keep in touch and talk about things, whether casually, business-wise, whatever it is. The conversation is encrypted, maybe end to end, I don't know. But as it currently stands, you could argue that Facebook is a data company because what they have now is data. Everybody's data, basically. Whether it's a GDPR infringement or compliance, I can't say. But the point I'm trying to make is a lot of startups and companies out there are considering machine learning as an afterthought. And like you said, like a component, okay, we just need machine learning to do this. But if it's a fully thought through process in founding the company, in analyzing the product offering, in looking at the value proposition for your users, you need to be able to incorporate all of these data elements and how that will tie into your overall goal or vision for the product or for the startup, which totally resonates with me because many people are now realizing that they have been playing in a different industry for a long time without harnessing it because they were just focused and fixated on the initial product offering and have refused to pivot or even evolve into what is within their disposal. So I totally agree that companies should be able to think long-term, far ahead, and incorporate it from the onset and not just think about it like, oh, it's just one component that we need to plug in, plug and play, and all of that. But my
Exactly.
question's okay.
So just add something on top of that, right? Let's not forget that those companies had time. They had time
Mm,
to get there. And this current ecosystem, the days of the chat GPT, the days of different AI products now do not have time. Founders do not have time. Founders do not have time to bring a deck that is like, oh, I'm gonna solve this, that is not incorporating some sort of AI from the scratch. It's like you want to go and play you're taking a bow and arrow to a war where people have machine guns or people have bombs. It's like yeah.
you're bringing a knife to a gunfight.
Exactly. So I just wanted to add that there was time then. There's no time now.
Mm,
You're not doing it from the beginning. You're not think about your favorite product. I think about for instance, Instagram Reels, right? The
yep,
reason
yep.
people, you know, just keep scrolling or using those reels is that, oh, you tell yourself, oh, this is my last video I'm gonna watch, and then the next one is like it's reading your mind. It's like, oh, I love this video, and then you go,
Yes.
it's like, I love this one too, and then you go, like, I love it, and it's like, yeah, it's a model behind that is giving you those predictions. It's trained to give you what you like. They can't afford for you to see a video. Okay, I don't like this video now. I'm now gonna close the app, right?
Yep.
We want you to
Mm-hmm.
see something relevant every time. And all of our favorite products are like that now. So why would you build a product that is not incorporating any sort of learning and optimization to it?
Mm. Makes sense. I mean that's the whole point, right? Being able to have targeted advertising to people, targeted content based on your prehistoric data and interaction on those platforms or even platforms that are outside. Again, I'm going to keep a lot of things under wraps because I have a lot of conspiracy theory around this. But yeah, in the interest of our conversation, I agree that a lot of the data that we gather from some of these products or softwares or application systems that are in use are meant to help with targeted content, targeted reach, meeting people at their point of interest rather than forcing things to them. So you see things like clearing cache or accepting cookies or something, just to try and understand user behavior and then meet you at that very sweet spot where you're hooked on your reels as you're scrolling. It keeps giving you related content and 2 hours gone, no
Yeah.
productivity. Yeah, it's a sad thing, but yeah, it's also a business for some people making money from it.
Yeah.
So, in the interest of our conversation as well, we're looking at AI.
Yeah.
I don't want to assume that everybody understands AI, right? I mean, everybody knows what the acronym AI means, as artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
But in your own perspective and from your own expertise, are you able to sort of give a brief um, explanation or a brief about AI, what it means, what it literally means for people, and if there are any misconceptions that you've seen people? I'm pretty sure you've met a lot of people that have assumed different things. Some people thought AIs are aliens, in fact.
Huh.
So if you could just give like a brief summary about what you think AI is and what it really means, then just dispel any misconception you've heard out there about AI so that we can set the tone for our conversation.
Uh, Maybe AI are aliens, who knows? But I mean,
Don't go there.
I wouldn't say they are, but so I'm gonna try to remember the definition that I was, of AI that I was given in a master's class when I was doing my master's, and that definition was a piece of software or hardware that is able to improve its performance P, um, given more experience in time. So any piece of software or any piece of hardware that is able to improve its performance as it experiences the world in quote in
Mm,
and the experience now can come from data, can come from that's in the sense of maybe supervised and unsupervised learning, machine learning, those kind of things, or it can
yep.
come from experience of the real world in case of now things like reinforcement learning. But what we see with AI is that improvement in its performance, right? With more
Mm,
exposure, with more experience, with more data.
wow. S- Wow. So it keeps evolving in a sense, like it's growing in
Yeah.
its knowledge base based on what it's exposed to, I guess.
Exactly, exactly. So once you have, anything that is able to solve a problem but improve itself. I mean, the whole concept. Yeah, I remember when I wanted to go study artificial intelligence. I remember it's my dad has said, "Oh, wow, artificial intelligence. Why not study natural intelligence?" It was a joke. But when we think about intelligence, it's the ability for problem solving, and the ability to be able to take in data and improve our performance with that, right? That's what we call intelligence, right? I think it was Einstein that said something about when making the same mistake or expecting improvement while doing the same thing is not.
Mm, yeah, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result is insanity, right?
Exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
So when we look at the converse, we're looking at intelligence, we're looking at the ability to improve performance, maybe problem solving, doing a particular task with
Mm,
every experience of that task that we do. And that's the difference between traditional software, because traditional software, they just do something, right? I'm able to do this thing, and that's it. But anything that is able to perform a task, and most times human-like tasks, right, and improve
mm,
itself over time, given something starts with recognition of faces and can improve itself to recognize better faces or more faces, that would be classified as artificial intelligence. And that's a rough definition, actually. Um, I teach a course in ESIE in Paris. It's a data science course, and then we have to define artificial intelligence every year. Honestly, everyone in the world cannot even come to an agreement sometimes, but there is four classes of definitions, right? There's
yep.
people who think about AIs as stuff that act rationally. Others think
Okay.
about it as something that doesn't act rationally but thinks rationally. So yeah, they're coming at it from the thinking perspective, can think rationally. And I know there's a
Okay.
lot of questions. What does it mean for an AI to think? Oh my God, that's
Yeah.
we're getting into like the Chinese room conundrum problem. We don't want to get into that. And then there's another set is like to act humanly. And then
Okay.
there's to think humanly. So think like a human, act like a human, think rationally, act rationally. So there are four classes of definitions that usually fall into this each of these four buckets. But I like the performance one. It's just no, it's void of problems. It's void of any issues. Yeah.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. There's a lot to unpack there, but I mean, yeah, like you said, let's not get into the Chinese room conundrum. Uh, I will just try to dodge away from that. But if we are trying to now be more specific,
Mm.
to business owners in a business setting, a conventional business, what do you think AI stands to represent? What role is AI supposed to play in a business setting?
AI is supposed to make your product alive. AI AI is like you have static products right now. AI is that feedback loop.
Mm,
That loop where your data, your software, your product, you know, generates data and is able to have a perception of the world. And take that and make itself better. So in a way, you're no longer creating a non-living thing. AI is that, particular feedback that you need to move from a non-living thing as your product to
mm,
something essentially living and breathing and is able to grow just by experiencing the world.
wow, wow. So bringing life to the product, like making it more, does that make it more viable as a product for the business if you're incorporating AI? If you're saying AI brings life, Because a lot of people would have some controversies around it to say, yeah, well, my business is maybe I'm into a factory business where I manufacture water bottles, for instance. In that setting, does AI have a core role to play? Because people still find it as an abstract idea to incorporate AI into some settings.
Okay, so this is it. Let's say you're running a factory, you manufacture bottles, right? And you
Yeah.
started your factory as, the in a sense, your product is the factory, right?
Mm.
And then the bottles are probably the output of your factory, the ability to produce that, the ecosystem end to end from the factory to the bottle production is what, creates your core product in a sense. Maybe we may say that. So let's
Mm.
say that is it, end to end, that's what you do. And let's say you get to a point where you're starting to think about what can this product be? You know, I
Okay.
want to infuse life into this product. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be better. Now, you start to think about what data is my product generating that I'm wasting, right? There's
Okay.
a lot of data that is being generated by the product, um, the production data. How can I take production data and automate it? Now, this is where there's a bit of an issue, where people start to think about AI as automation. They're close, but it's not the same, right? So you start to think about what if I could, in a way, evolve my product offering to just not creating the regular kind of bottles, or just not
Mm.
creating bottles in 5 minutes, but through the use of database techniques, through the use of maybe sorting techniques, right? Where you evolve maybe your products, you involve maybe something that does sorting. I'm able to sort different kinds of bottles for different kinds of clients, right? And I talked about that, the opener problem at the beginning, where I said you could now separate different kinds of bottles. Maybe that's what you did, and you thought about AI from the beginning, and then you spent 1 year or 6 months producing different kinds of bottles and hand sorting them, and after 6 months you can now sort that automatically, because your product has grown and incorporated the data that had been generated in the first 6 months. You had learned on top of that data, and now you have an automated sorting machine or an automated sorting system for your bottles, reducing the cost of production for each bottle, because you have an automated sorting system.
Mm.
Now, our product is growing. It's that's now you're that's one of, if you go back to my post, that's where it's like product wilderness is to ecosystems. That sorting algorithm, that sorting is a business on its own. You can float that as a business on its own, but it is
Mm.
still integrated into your bottle, just like I can be different things. I play the instruments, but I'm also, into core tech. It's the same thing. Your business now has multi functions, multi outputs, multi facets, right?
Mm.
Because it is
Yeah.
living and is growing. And after 1 year, you're able to, there's this client we worked with, where what they wanted to do was automate the end to end of the factory, right?
Mm.
And in a human-based process, it was going to take, like, let's say 20 minutes to produce one unit. We brought it down to
Okay.
1 minute to produce one unit, right? But then there are many, many algorithms that one could that go into that could now be sold. So in a way, I think that is the sort of thinking that takes your product from just, I have a factory, to I have a factory that is going to grow into multiple businesses, multiple prongs, whether through horizontal scaling, vertical scaling. And then each prong is going to generate more data that I can now use for different things, better things. Let's say, for instance, your bottle sorting algorithm is introduced, somewhere else.
Yeah.
You at the beginning maybe have a 70% recognition rate on their bottles. In 3 months, because you have the data of those bottles, well, you're probably at 95%, which means that your product has grown. It's now better, it's now bigger. So
Absolutely.
it's sort of that feedback loop. And that's why I say automation is just, hey, I'm going to make some things automatic. But AI is actually focusing on the feedback loop. It's focusing on how do I plug all of the necessary resources that I'm outputting that can make this business better. And how can I do that automatically? That is AI from a product setting.
Hmm. Now, from what you said, it sounds as though any business at all can incorporate AI.
Yep.
Any business, because initially people are kind of aback when it comes to, oh, AI is for software products, software products. I don't have a software product, so I really can't use AI. And even when you try to even incorporate AI to non-software products, you're thinking about automation.
Yeah.
How do we produce more in less time? How do we make sure that we reduce the margin of error by human intervention or
Mm.
interferences? So people have always been fixated on AI being just automation components in their own business or reducing human error in their own business. And beyond that, there's nothing more they see about AI. So weighing and balancing, sometimes it doesn't meet the cost of acquiring a fully functional AI system. But with what you said now, it seems there are boundless possibilities when it comes to incorporating AI in such settings where it's not even a software product at all. And that's quite amazing to even know about, because personally I've always thought in such settings you are more fixated on trying to automate, reduce error, optimize the process, and I've not looked past that initial step, and there are a lot of people that are in that side kind of mindset.
Yeah.
Very,
And
very fantastic to hear that from you.
just in my,
Yes.
if I may add, so people don't shoot me after the call. There's so AI, there's different sides of it. There's machine learning, there's data science, and I know I'm bundling everything together, but
Mm,
in the crux of it, the whole central theme is that there's data, and whether through data science or hiring a data scientist to, generating your own algorithms that can learn on your own data, on your own product, or learn the model structure of that data, there's still the feedback of I want to learn from the data, whether through machine learning or data science, or in a sense data analytics or fusion of analytics, and I want to optimize my business with that.
yeah. Absolutely. And now that you even touched on data science, machine learning, and all that, I wouldn't want to even go into that discussion of what are the differences between them, just in the interest of time, because there are a lot of people that find it difficult to even differentiate between machine learning, data science.
Yeah,
Um, in fact, looking at robotics and AI, it can be a crux, and people can just get lost in that conversation. It's like a rabbit hole,
yeah.
but I would try to constrain I have tons of questions to ask you, but I'm trying as much as possible to stick within the confines of our conversation right now. And so that would lead me to the point of startups that are AI first
Mhm,
and looking to get funding from VCs. Now,
mhm,
there's a predisposition about AI, which was why I asked you to sort of expound on what AI means to business settings.
mhm.
Um, and I remember you made a post, I think, which was like the first point of call for these chats we are having right now.
Yeah.
And it was very interesting to see that a lot of startups or even VCs do not really understand this ecosystem. And it's like a buzzword. Everybody wants to incorporate AI, wants to be AI first. But what does that even really mean? Right? How do you ascertain what startup is viable enough, incorporating AI, and would inform your investment decision? So, if you don't mind, again, this is like you expounding on your initial post that I commented on.
Yeah.
What do you think beyond what you posted? What do you think is the current situation with the VC startup and AI buzzword thingy, or the frenzy of AI? And what do you think the solution would be in order to have that balance? Because I believe in balance. Everything that is done out of balance has a risk of catastrophe. So, what is the current situation, and what do you think would be the solution to ensure that startups that are actual AI first are doing the work, and VCs are able to assimilate or understand adequately what it is to be an AI first startup, and then make the necessary decision for investment?
That's a hard one, a compound one too.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's compounded.
Uh, I try to break that down. Yes, there's a lot of buzzword. Uh, I realized that, I've gone to evaluate a couple of startups, like just, look at the offering and then they just say AI, and I was like, nope, that's not AI. It's not, it's like, that is not AI. But then people put it and then they feel like, yeah, I'm going to get money, I'm going to get funding, so I'm just as well going to put it. And in a sense, it's like the component, like I was talking about yesterday, I was like, yeah, the component, how can I put it in and then, get someone to notice, right? Um,
Mm.
so there's a lot of that. There's a lot of the buzzword being thrown around. People just, doing um, whatever they like and calling it AI. And sometimes it's their fault in that they just don't want to think through that process. And a lot
Mm.
of times it's not their fault, right? The actual thought process going into building a product as AI first is a lot. First of all, your founders have to understand the power and integrative power of AI. And a lot of times you have to have a co-founder who is somehow AI literate,
Mm.
mostly your CTO.
Yep.
Uh,
CTO wears every hat. Front end, back end, AI, database, CI/CD, everything. DevOps.
I know. And that is not simple to do. So
Yep.
in a sense, you just say, okay, what is the simple way? And that is why in my post, I didn't come for the founders. I was like, the VCs have to help here because
Mm.
VCs here have 20 companies under them, 30 companies under them that they're
Mm.
investing in. They have the capacity to go and get someone and say, hey, you're going to have to work with all of our startups to refine our thinking in a way that means or takes our product to be AI first and in effect become profitable, right?
Mm.
Right. And that is not just putting AI for the sake of AI, but actually thinking through the core offering and asking yourselves, how can I not even say how can I add the AI, because I feel like that just pushes us into the buzzword scenario even more. Is
Yep.
how can I make use of data in my company or in my product to improve how I understand the product landscape better, right? As a particular company we worked with, they were just selling they were selling stuff online. Can't remember exactly what they were selling. And what they were selling basically was um they were based off in France, and they were
Mm-hmm.
selling things, to people around the world, but it was more African centered, right? Now they had a lot of orders, and what we realized is that the people who were actually right taking a look at the website even more, who were
Yep.
fascinated by ads, who wanted to go and click on the ads to see what is this product, right? They were not from the African market. But this particular company spends all of its advertisement and all of its product design, product optimization for the African market. So in a sense, it's like, what are you doing? The
Mm.
people who really want to buy your product are not in Africa. So why are you not convincing them to buy your product? Why are you not investing time to understand why, they put stuff in their cart and, they
Mm.
can pay? Do they have a payment problem? Do they have a shipping problem? Why are you not trying to understand why a lot of, tens of thousands of, transactions from Asia isn't going through?
Mm.
Why are you focusing on this market when this market is so hungry for you? That in itself is just, working through the data in a form of a sense, in a form of AI, and trying
Mm.
to integrate and trying to push the product forward. So I want to blame the founders a lot of times, but I know that it's very difficult. It's hard to build a product, and think about this. In the days of, I don't know if you right now design thinking, there was a
Yep.
design thinking, has been in the world for a very long time. And when this I think it was the CEO, the founder of Ideal then,
Idea.
yeah, Tim Brown, when he started to propagate this philosophy of thought, you know it was alien to a lot of people. And that's one of the things I see now is trying to fuse the idea of design thinking plus an AI centered mindset. It really isn't about trying to push AI or push it into the product or push machine learning to the product. It's about thinking through it. And I believe, and that's why I say VCs can help founders to help refine their product offerings in a way that, they then start to think through it with a mindset that is more AI centered. Now, having said that, there are startups that are, founders or that are at pre-seed level, they're still trying to work through their MVP.
Strap.
Yeah, they're still trying to bootstrap it. And sometimes as founders, like, I'm just trying to get, somebody to help me show that this is viable. Do I want to start to think about, AI, or do I want to start thinking about machine learning now that I'm still trying to get an MVP? Absolutely. You don't have to build it. You just have to think about it, right? And when you take a product, it's a way that VCs operate. Your MVP that you're taking to a VC is not to say, hey, I built this cool thing. It's to demonstrate that I can build the cool thing that I'm telling you about, that I've been able to demonstrate some level of growth. So when you're going to a VC, what you need to tell them is, hey, I built this small thing, I built this cool thing, but this is where we're going. This is the mindset we're going. This is how we intend to integrate the data back into build an ecosystem that is self-serving and can optimize itself as we go, and and branch out into multiple businesses. So in a sense, founders have to refine their thinking, a way of how can I I want to build a product, or I want to build a solution, or I want to solve healthcare, right? Or let me see.
I want to solve world hunger.
or let's say you say I want to build. I think I saw something in Nigeria now because of the fuel crisis. I saw somebody had done something where people could band together in cars and go somewhere.
Okay, like carpooling.
Yeah, carpooling, yeah, exactly. And the thing is this, I'm probably that product is out there, but if there's an AI data thinking with that, what you could do is, as you are going along, you're collecting data about what are the places that people tend to stop most. Places that, in a sense, is something that Google Maps hasn't been able to solve. Can I solve the bus stops, right? Where people stand, where people actually want to carpool. Yeah, if you're able to get the bus stops, that part of the business alone can be sold to Google Maps.
Yep.
I'm selling this to you. This is where people stand. This is where people carpool. And then integrating that into a product like Google Maps, those guys are going to come and say, okay, we want this because we want to make our product better. We don't have this data. We want to integrate it back and make our product better. A sort of data science thinking is saying, how can I, and if you maybe want to have your own map offering, you can start with Google Maps and then, integrate that data and then come, I know all the bus stops, I have a better map for Africa. And you said 4 billion.
Yeah, I see. Absolutely. I mean, what you said just makes a lot of sense, because on the one hand, you want to blame the founders for not being as thorough thinking when it comes to AI as possible. From the onset, like you said, a lot of people are bothered about, I'm just building an MVP. It's just an MVP. But forgetting the fact that it is your minimum viable product.
Exactly.
The key word is that it is minimum and it is viable.
Exactly.
So it doesn't make it any lesser. It is more like a proof of concept to say, this is what I intend to build, and this is a proof to tell you that I can build it because I've put in this much work, and this is how it is meant to, perform. And maybe even if you get some traction, that's even better, because you can show them now that, okay, in the past couple of months, we've launched this MVP out, and this is how people are interacting. This is how we're getting some data around what people want from it, customer behavior, like you said, maybe where people stand the most to book for the app or try to carpool, and then you can understand the clusters, the hot zones for people carpooling.
Exactly.
It's very interesting to see that aspect. As well, looking at the VC side, I think that also makes a lot of sense, because from my own perspective, I think the VCs, they have a better outlook. They have like a holistic view.
Mm.
Imagine a VC that has a portfolio of about 20 startups, and at least one startup will be doing something seemingly right around AI, and they can help the others leverage that advantage. Because at the end of the day, you are a VC, it is your portfolio. If one, a lot of people are looking out for that unicorn, but if there's something that can be of advantage to level or help the playing field of everyone in your portfolio, I think you should be able to dig into that, or even hire a team to
Exactly.
explore that space and help your portfolio startups to leverage AI the right way. Because if everything goes down the drain, it is your money that is going down the drain, isn't it?
Exactly.
So you should have that vested interest and a skin in the game to be able to help navigate that space. So, but the way it sounds to me is like, depending on the VCs to do the work may not be very forthcoming at the end of the day. I mean, if you are a startup, you are a founder, it's your brainchild.
Mhm.
So having somebody who is an external supervisor that has a vested interest in it does not mean you can relinquish that responsibility of improving your processes or how you do business, right? You should be able to build that startup and explore every possible option. Like you've said, design thinking is one of those things that people, for so long, people don't even interact with the design thinking mindset. They don't even think about it. Everybody just goes ahead and thinks something and don't even think it thoroughly,
Yeah.
without realizing that design thinking is a framework that really helps you to arrive at a plausible solution that can help your product, right?
Exactly.
So having such mindset, I think, in my own perspective, can really help founders. And once your VCs are seeing that level of traction and dedication and grit and resilience, if they have anything that can be of advantage to you, they cannot be wicked to not give that to you. I mean, it's their portfolio again at the end of the day. So this brings me to my next question, which resonates with one of your posts, I think, about lean thinking. So talking about lean thinking for AI-driven products or startups, what do you think that entails? Because I know what I think lean means. I've read, is it lean startup now?
Yeah.
And I know a couple of things around lean, but looking at it from an AI lens for AI-driven products or startups, what do you think lean thinking looks like? And a lot of people don't really know what lean thinking is. So if you can expatiate on that, that would be cool.
Lean thinking is what, a philosophy? It's a lot of things. But I think that lean thinking is about optimization, both optimization in thought, optimization in product, also delivering value fast, and in a sense of experimentation. Lean thinking merges with a lot of philosophies in my mind, such as, you're not a proud person. And one of the things I see these days is when somebody comes to me and says, "Oh, I have an idea that's going to revolutionize the world." You don't know it's going to, please. You know, oh, I have a big thing. I was like, okay, all right, here we go again. But lean thinking takes out of that pride, that internal hubris to say I have the next big idea, and helps you to with continuous experimentation, right? And that is why I feel like lean thinking is so connected to design thinking, but also very connected to data science and AI, because one of the things that lean thinking talks about is a sense of experimentation. Lean thinking is that you do not know until you know, right? And then when you know, you should go fast in that direction. And how can you know if you don't measure? So if you read the book on lean thinking, there's a part where it says you have to experiment, but you have to measure, right?
Yep. I think build, measure, learn. There's
Build,
that
measure,
cyclic.
learn. Exactly. Yeah. So you have the build, measure, learn cycle, right? Now, one of the ways I feel like there's AI or machine learning, all of that, is a way where you can automate that build, measure, learn cycle, right? Where it's not you doing it manually anymore. You have a software that internally has been designed to espouse these principles and go. It's already part of your ecosystem. It's measuring everything and optimizing based on everything, right? So if you're talking about if you're talking about maybe speed, or you're talking about like building a product or facial recognition, for instance, let's say you build a facial recognition algorithm for Africa and then you deploy it and then you realize that, for some reason in the lab you're getting 90% recognition rate, and for some reason, it's not, you're not getting the 90% recognition rate that when you deployed it to Nigeria.
Yep.
If you're not measuring at that point, you can just say, oh, I've deployed my product, it's just there, right? One of the principles of lean thinking and experimentation is to actually deploy your product fast, let's go with MVP, and then start to iterate. So in a sense, what you're going to be looking at is, okay, I'm getting 70% as opposed to 90%. I'm collecting the images, right? And I have a model that is internal, that is retraining itself, maybe online or offline, to adapt itself for this particular environment. That is where I see the fusion of lean thinking, design thinking, and I don't know if I'm the first person to say, but AI thinking. Where I know I'm not the first person, but this is assuming.
It's possible. It's very possible. But yeah, you should put an IP on that. But yeah, let's go on.
Well, what it means is it's all about data. It's the flow of data, right? We are trying to understand the flow of data. We're trying to understand we're trying to understand the data. Where lean thinking tries to optimize the flow, tries to learn. The AI thinking mindset tries to build on top of the data and learn, insights that can make the product better, and automating this learning. So if I were to summarize, I would say, hey, you have the build, measure, learn. Oh, well, AI gives you a way to automate that process.
Wow.
That improve your product exponentially.
Wow, that's fantastic, really, because I've not even really thought about. I'm familiar with the build, measure, and learn cycle, but having something that helps you automate it, I mean, that is the bulk of the work. Like, people go head on head trying to understand, okay, what are we even measuring? Are we measuring the right thing? And it takes a lot of iteration before you can even ascertain what metrics are very sacrosanct to improving your product or improving your processes. But if you have something that can help you do that at a very rapid iteration, I think that takes away a lot of that work and bottleneck when it comes to optimizing and improving your product. But to draw this to a close, I'm just going to throw one last question to you. So you've said a lot of things, and to a lot of people who are not very familiar, because this is more like a masterclass startup, AI, data, and everything products, but if you want to water it down and bring it to baby steps, practical steps for people that run maybe a small, medium enterprise or small, medium scale enterprises, that want to incorporate AI. Because it sounds to me like, personally, I would say maybe a good place to start from what you said, like trying to look at the analytics, trying to look at how you're performing, what are your customer interactions and behaviors, maybe using the likes of Google Analytics and all that would really help. But throwing it to you now to say, if you are to advise somebody that has a small or a medium scale enterprise and wants to incorporate, irrespective of what kind of product they're offering, whether hardware or software, but wants to do it in practical terms, incorporate AI into their product to improve their offering or maybe discover new product lines, what would be your advice for them? And are there any practical steps for them to take that would help them begin this journey? Because I know it's a long journey. It's a journey of learning, and I think learning never ends. So what would you advise?
Practical steps. I read a couple of articles about AI, know what you're doing, right? Know what it is. Try to think through how you can pipe that down to your business. Ask questions. Ask a lot of questions in terms of what if I did this? What if I did this? What would this do? What would that do? And sort of in a way that helps you refine your thinking in terms of how you're thinking about your product. Then think about how you can use free tools. Store everything. Let's first of all, try to collect as much data as possible, right? Know who your customers are. So if you're selling, if you're selling, so let me give you this example. I know we're short on time. I would give a couple of examples. That's about now about 8 years ago, 9 years ago, our family business at the time was not really going as it should, and I was brought in and given unilateral powers to do. Right. One of the things that was important in turning that business around was understanding where are my customers, right? And I saw that where my customers were supposed to be, or where I thought they were, wasn't where they were at the time. I was like, okay, wow. So now that I see that all my customers are here, how can I make sure that I reduce the amount of time for them to get the product? So if it was going to take a day to get a product, how can I reduce it to 1 hour? And that sort of thinking changed that business, because every of my customer knew that if they could come to me and they'll get products in 1 hour. Now, having to go through that data and optimizing my process, my business, like that was what changed it. Because what I now realized was I could, because it was a warehousing business, and I went and had a secondary deal with somebody around that area, so I could store my products in that person's place, like, and give them a bit of commission. And so no, I didn't need to go like the entire distance from the warehouse for them to get the product. I had like many mini depots, Uberization in a sense, and that was what worked. But it started with me collecting the data and knowing where are my customers, right?
Yep.
So that is it. Ask questions, a lot of questions. No question is stupid, and get the data to answer those questions, right? Talk to somebody who is AI, centered. Talk to anyone and say, okay, I want to have a conversation about this, right? Or go on LinkedIn. There are people. Say, okay. This is my business. What are your thoughts? You'd be shocked at how receptive people are and can help you refine your thinking. Don't go there and say, I don't know anything. Come and do it yourself. But say, oh, these are my thoughts so far. How can you help me? And then people are more receptive to seeing that you've also done some work, and then they can help you also further refine. Use tools. There are tools out there that can help you collect data, that can even help you improve your business. I'll give you an example. I had a food issue, and so I built ChatGPT.
I was waiting for you to mention it. I know you saw that coming.
Of course, yeah. So what I did was, I want a meal plan for the week, right? I was in Abuja, then I was like, I want a meal plan. So I built ChatGPT and connected it to some, food vendor. And ChatGPT was going to pass the data using scraping techniques, the food data, and come up with a weekly meal plan for me, right? So imagine if a restaurant in Nigeria, right, or in Abuja, did that, integrated it with their core offering, with their website, and they're not just giving you come and buy food, they're giving you an entire meal plan. And guess what? Because you're constantly in the build, measure, learn cycle. Right now, what you're doing is you're collecting data of the meals or the bunch of meals that people love. That way, you know what to cook. You're reducing waste, meaning you're improving your profit. You're improving your bottom line. So this is how using existing tools can also help, right? So it just started from an idea of give people meal plans. There are a lot of bachelors, or there are a lot of people, spinsters, a lot of people in Abuja or Lagos who need these meal plans. Just provide free meal plans and see what people are getting, what people want. And it's like, okay, I know that people love rice and stew on Mondays. There's this funny example. I know we're out of time. I remember it was Amazon, and just a disclaimer: in science, there's something called correlation and causality. I'm not going to go into that argument.
Relation is not causation, yeah.
Exactly, relation and causality, yeah. But this is it. I think at the point, I hope I'm getting the story right. Amazon understood that somehow, with the more people watch the particular movie, the more they bought shoes on
Wow.
Amazon. So it's like this Amazon video, but somehow, with movies, more people watching that, the shoe sales business.
Very.
So it's sort of them, measuring everything, and I'm sure maybe the business people found a way to sort of leverage or,
Mm.
the business case out of that and even make more profit.
Wow. I mean, to even begin with, you've shared a lot of startup ideas, so I think I'm going to hide this video. You shared a lot of very beautiful startup ideas. I mean, the last one around creating a meal plan, a lot of people would actually, you could build that as a product and sell it to a I don't know, any meal restaurant, whatever, cafeteria, and they would buy it because at this point you're providing people with an actual solution. People don't want to. You know that the hardest thing, I think, as being a bachelor, the hardest thing is thinking what to eat.
Exactly.
If somebody is going to take away that pain, I'm willing to pay for it. And I know a lot of people are out there that will be willing to pay for it. And something that is as adaptive as following the build, measure, learn cycle, you're able to tell when, oh, this particular week I'm not in favor of the meal plan, and this other week I'm very much in favor of it, and you're able to adapt and move around. Really, it's a very beautiful one. But that's aside the point. I think what you said is just everything anyone needs to hear if they want to incorporate AI. The first thing is about gathering data, knowing who your customers are, where they are, what kind of interaction, observing their behaviors, because you cannot meet people on their level if you don't know who they are or where they are or what level it is that you're meeting them on. So gathering every data possible and keeping them and then sifting through them to find out what the trends are, and bearing in mind, of course, correlation is not causation, but there are always some intricacies to it. There are some hidden truths that you could maybe unravel as you go along. Of course, having the lean thinking mindset as well really helps, because you know that everything is an iterative cycle of learning, and so you are not always, so you don't know until you know, and even when you know, you are open-minded to realize that you did not even know when you thought you knew, because things change rapidly. The market trend is evolving on a daily basis, and you should be adaptive enough to evolve alongside. And that's a very beautiful point. And then the last thing you said was about leveraging tools that are existing like ChatGPT, and thinking about innovative ways of incorporating these tools to, I missed one very key point you mentioned, which was around asking people. If you need help, you need to reach out. You definitely need to reach out to people, and there are people that are willing and are capable to offer that help that you need. In fact, you could find opportunities by just reaching out to people and networking with them, sharing your ideas. This is what I'm struggling with, if you could help. And that can be very helpful, at least starting from LinkedIn, I assume. That's beautiful. Do you have any more words you want to share before we draw the curtain on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's the whole idea of a combination of lean thinking, design thinking, and AI thinking is like the understanding that your product can always be better, your offering be better, and using data to make it better. And that circle is something that I feel like everybody would benefit from, getting into that kind of thinking. Your idea is, I believe we're out of there. My idea is so perfect now. That's but you can always go from there, and you can always learn more by using the data generated. Yeah.
Wow. Again, in addition to all the ideas that you've shared, there's a new term, guys. AI thinking. First heard it from Olumide, and he has an IP on it. Put a trademark on it. Wow, it's been an amazing time talking to you today. I mean, I could go on and on. Like, you have no idea how much restraint I'm putting on myself to not ask some questions, because, trust me, I have a lot of questions, and hopefully sometime when you're free, we are able to maybe delve deeper into the AI space, maybe on the data podcast that I'm running concurrently with the Product Podcast, where we can talk about more of the generative AI and all that. I was going to ask you some questions, but I just kept saying, no, Josh, no, this is not the time and place. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's been amazing hearing your brilliant mind at work and sharing all of what you said in helping people to incorporate AI into their product and how to actually even do it in practical terms, not just theoretical or saying things that are arbitrary or abstract. I mean, it's
Yeah.
very beautiful to see that you can actually do these things. It's not far-fetched. Anybody can, in as much as they have this mindset that you've mentioned, design thinking, lean thinking, and AI thinking, they can always get to maximize AI in their product.
Exactly.
Just a second, I see somebody dropping something in the chat. So someone is tempted to ask you about leveraging low code or no code tools, like what's the place of AI in low code tools, and I'm pretty sure you can appreciate that a lot of those no code, low code tools, even ChatGPT is like one of them, I think.
Mhm.
So would you want to make a brief comment on that?
Yeah, I'm not very conversant with all the local tools or no-code tools, but I can tell you, I know there's a lot of them out there. I think they're very good for your MVP at the very least. They're very good to demonstrate uh, to to your VCs or people that want to invest that you have the mindset, because that's what you want to, that's what you want to tell them at that point, that I have this mindset and I'm thinking in this direction and this is what I probably can do with more at my disposal. um, you should also use some of them to help your building better, like your building process better. Like for instance, it used to take you could use something like not chat gpt now, copilot. If you're a coder, if you have a coder, if you employ a coder, for instance, right, instead of employing two I know that the software engineers will shoot me, but instead of employing two software engineers, you employ one software engineer, and then you get like a copilot, right? Junior engineering stuff, Copilot can help you. Copilot can already generate blocks of code from just comments. That would help you build faster. So it's a lot of ways you can use it. You can use certain tools that help you just analyze your data as you go along. So maybe you're
Wow.
collecting raw data. You might use tools that help you organize. Maybe you're pumping your raw data and it's helping you to organize it. I'm
Mm,
sure there are tools around that. So in any part of the process to collecting the data, to measuring the data or building a product, I think there's a lot of tools that you can leverage that will just make it easier to extract structure of your data. And one of the ways I found it's quite interesting now is that I can use it to generate fake data at first.
okay,
Yeah,
that's something.
so I can use it to generate fake data, build a machine learning model on the fake data, and then refine that machine learning model on real data when I go into the field, meaning
Wow.
that my time to market is shortened for my AI.
Yeah.
You
Wow. Wow. That's something. When you were talking about, so what I was thinking is the place of AI now in all these low code, no code tools is like the heavy lifting of menial jobs, because these menial jobs can be very tasking. The high level, even in data science, right? Data wrangling can take you forever. If you have an AI that can just do the whole data wrangling and you start doing the insight generation and all that, that
know?
can save you like 80% of your time, right? And that is efficiency and reduce costs. And like you said, it reduces your time to market, because conventionally you would be expected to generate that data you're referring to as fake data that has been generated by AI, and then in real life scenario you now need to run your model. But having something that can generate that baseline of creating a more optimized model is, yeah, you have no idea how invaluable that is to a lot of startups out there, and people do not even know this, and I think that's a good thing to share with more people, to know that they can generate data just as a kickoff to build their models, and then as time goes on they can work on the real thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, above and beyond, thank you very much, Olumide, for being here on the show. It's very an amazing time speaking with you and hearing about the amazing things that you're doing, and your perspectives are just brilliant. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you very much for everyone that has tuned in and will be watching this podcast or listening to it wherever you are listening from. Um, until next time, I want you to just keep learning, keep growing, and keep leading, and we'll meet at the top. So, yeah, thank you very much.
This is mine. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers.
Bye.